my dear students, how are you all? I hope you all are doing good. So, today here I am again with a very new chapter of your class 7th NCERT textbook. And yes, this is going to be your last chapter from your class 7 series. So, the chapter name is Light. All right. So, this chapter is going to be divided into two parts. So, here in this part 1 session, we are going to revise about the light because you already know that we have done this chapter in class 6 series. But obviously, this chapter here in this class 7th, it is going to be more deeper concept of light. So, let us first start by revising certain concepts of light. All right. So, very first question is, how can we see? Yes, we can see through our eyes. We are going to explore what light and how it allows we humans to see certain things. Okay. So, if you imagine that you are in a dark pitch room, can you able to see certain things around you? No, we can't. All right. So here we need light. So first thing first, we are going to learn what is light. How can we see the objects, sources of lights, and various properties of light. The reflection of light, yes, this is going to be very new concept for you. We are going to see. Then we are going to learn about the different laws of reflection. Following it, we are also going to learn certain optic devices such as the lenses and how does a rainbow appears. So all this we are going to learn in this chapter. All right. So the question again comes on the screen. Have you ever been in a pitch black room? What could you see, or can you see something? No, we can't because there is no light, right? So what is light? So light is basically, we have learned from the class 6th concept that light is a form of energy, right? It's a form of energy which allows us to see the object. So how does the light travels to our eyes and we are able to see the object is whole concept of light is all about. So light travels in a straight line and enters our eyes through the pupil. So pupil is a part of our eyes. So it helps us to see the objects. Without light or your eyes are not able to detect the object. Okay. So we will see further. Light is a form of energy that helps us to see things. It comes from various sources. We have already learned about them. The natural and the man-made sources, or you can say them as the artificial sources of light. So we all know the very natural source of light is the sun. Yes, universal source of light. And various artificial sources of light like tube light, bulb, the lamps. So all these are the sources of lights. Now we are going to learn about how light travels. So light travels in a straight line as we have studied only now. So we are going to think about certain things as you can see the pictures which are available to you. Which image do you believe represents the fastest? Share the reason why. Who do you think run fastest? Yes, it's light which travels fast. Light is indeed very fast. In fact, it is the fastest thing we know of the entire universe. So it can travel in a very fastest speed. It can cover. The only thing which is present in our universe is the light, which can travel faster. Okay. So it's the values which are given on the screen. So always remember that lightning in the situation of raining. Have you seen the light comes first and the thundering comes after. Sound of light comes after, but the light comes first during the rainy season. So this is the reason why, because light travel faster than the sound itself. All right. So the next property, that light travels in the straight line. So it travels in a straight line, similar to a straight line you can draw with a ruler. This is because light travels in the form of rays. Okay. So when light emitted, or it comes out of the source such as the sun or the bulb, it spreads out in all directions into very straight line. So for this, to explain this property, we are going to see some activities or some experiments, okay, afterwards. So light can also cast shadow. Till now we have learned three properties of light, that light is the fastest source, or the source of light, or the light is the fastest, has the fastest speed which is present in our universe. Okay, next property was that light always travels in the straight line. Third one is light can cast the shadows. So we already know about the shadows. We have already learned them in the sixth class, where we have learned certain objects, okay, which can cast shadow. Do you know what are they? However, we are going to learn them again. So for this point, light casts shadow. As you can see, when light encounters an opaque object. So I think now you remember the three objects we have learned in the class 6, the transparent, translucent and the opaque objects. So opaque object is the one which can cast shadow, such as a solid block or a person. It cannot go through and instead interacts with the surface of the object. The light cannot go through the object. So it casts the shadows. Shadows are formed because light travels in straight lines and cannot pass through an object. As you can see here, this patch is known as the shadow. Okay, here is a comb and the light is being traveling, but as you already know that light can only travel through a straight line. So it can't pass through the comb. It can pass through the comb but cannot absorb. Okay, the comb is not able to absorb the rays of light. So these light rays transmit through the comb and it will form the shadow. So it is a shadow of a comb. Comb is an opaque object, okay, which cannot let the light pass through them, okay, are known as the opaque objects. So what is a shadow? So shadow are caused by an opaque object being placed in front of a light source. So the object prevents light from passing through it and leaves the dark shape. So this dark shape is actually the shadow. Behind it, this dark shape is a shadow. Okay, so the shadow is formed by an opaque object because light is not able to pass through an opaque object. Okay, so apart from opaque objects, we already know that there are more objects or more sources of light which can pass through three different objects. So those different objects we have already learned in the sixth class. We are going to revise them. Objects can fall into one of the three categories. Either they would be the transparent one, which nearly has the ability to pass the light through them. Then the translucent one, some light can pass through them. And the opaque one, no light can pass through them. So till now we have learnt about the what is light, the sources of light, shadows and the various categories of objects through which the light can pass through or light cannot pass through. Alright students, so in order to explain the different properties of light, we are going to perform an activity. Okay, we are going to explain or we are going to see certain activities which will explain us or which will help us to understand how does the light travels in a straight line. So for this activity, we are going to perform 3 tests. Okay, so for the test number 1, we need a flashlight, 3 cards with a hole punched in the middle. And then we need a sticky tape, mirror, comb and piece of modeling clay. So what we will do in the first test, okay, we will just throw a light through a flashlight upon the 3 cardboards which have a hole inside them. Okay, so what we will see that light goes through all the holes and will reach the object beyond the last card until it hits another opaque surface. So in this scenario or in the test A, we can see that no blocking takes place, no blocking of light rays takes place and the light is easily traveling in the straight line in the middle of the 3 cardboards. So test number B, we are going to have a mirror and we are going to throw a flashlight upon it and then light travels in a straight line towards the mirror, then it bounces off the reflective surface. As you can see here, the light is bouncing off, right? So no blocking surface, but the light is blocking, okay, blocking off, okay. So this scenario is actually we are saying the reflective surface. So we are going to study about reflection afterwards, but remember in the plane mirror when the light is being thrown, the light bounces, okay. Light against an opaque object, obviously we have studied that when the light bounce or light just flow on the opaque object, it always casts shadow. So likewise we can see the shadow of a comb is being made, okay, or being casted. So in summary, light travels in a straight line. Light changes its direction when it hits a reflective surface and light can create shadows when an object blocks its path. So this we have understood that light travels in a straight line. This we have understood that opaque object is going to cast a shadow. So this point we are going to study in detail. Okay, how the light changes its direction when it hits a reflective surface. Alright, for this we are going to see the mirror only, because mirror was the one reflective surface to which the light bounced back or reflected back. Okay, so we are going to study about mirror. So we already seen mirrors in our homes, right? So how would you describe the characteristics of the image formed by the mirror? So for this we are going to study about the ray of model light. The ray model of light we are going to study because it's help us to understand various properties of reflecting surface here, which is mirror. Okay, so in the ray model of light we are going to explain what is ray model of light now and then, and we are going to describe how does the plane mirrors form images. All right, and we are going to understand how the ray diagrams are formed and the characteristics of image, and understand about the pinhole camera. Okay, so first the ray model of light. So the ray model of light tells us that light travels in the straight lines, which are rays only. Rays also have arrows to indicate the direction of the traveling of light. An example of a ray is a beam of light from the laser, as you can see on the screen. So a ray travels in a straight line until it hits something like a mirror. So mirror is a reflecting surface. Okay, always remember, till the any blockage occurs or a reflecting surface occurs, light always travels in the straight lines. Okay, so ray model of light tells us about the three basic rules of the light. Okay, please focus on that because all of our chapters is the basic of this ray model of light. Okay, so whenever the light falls on the surface, we already know about the three surfaces: transparent, translucent, and opaque. So three things happen. Either the light is going to reflect back, as we seen in the plane mirror. Number two, the light is going to transmit. Okay, or transmit. Okay, so when the light is going to pass through the object, it changes or it bends. Okay, the light bends, beam of light bends. Okay, or it is not going to travel in the straight line, but it bends. So that process is known as transmission. Okay, and then the third one is absorption. When the light is being absorbed or absorbed by an object to which it is falling on, like our sunglasses, right? The shades which we used to wear in the sun. Okay, under the sun. Why we wear sunglasses? Because those shades transmit, absorb the sunlight, and it is going to reduce the effect of light. Okay, so that our eyes get secure from the harsh sunlight. Okay, so in that cases the sunlight is being absorbed. So the three things happen when the light falls on the certain objects: either it is going to reflect or absorb or transmit. Okay, so we are going to learn one by one these processes. So first process is reflection, which occurs on the plane mirror. Okay, so for this we are going to learn about different ray diagrams which are formed by the plane mirror. So for now we have understood that reflection means the bouncing back or reflecting back of light when it reflects on a plane surface. Okay, so there are certain laws of reflection are also there. So these laws are being made so that we can understand about reflection more. So mirrors happens to have the reflection. Okay, so mirror show the reflection. So as you can see, there is a mirror here. This is a mirror, and this upper part is the reflecting surface of a mirror. So all the light which is going to fall on is on that surface, reflecting surface. Okay, and the surface which is present behind the mirror, this one, as you can see these lines, is the polished surface. Okay, light never falls on the polished surface. Light always falls on the reflecting surface. Okay, always remember that. So the light which is falling on the surface forms incident ray. Okay, so this is the light which is falling on. Light which is falling on, as we can see the flashlight. Okay, so we have through the flashlight. So this falling of light is known as incident ray, which is incoming. Okay, and then which reflect back. Okay, that is known as reflected ray. Okay, And in the middle of these incident and reflected ray, there is an imaginary line, imaginary line. That is why in science we make it as dotted lines. Okay, so this imaginary lines is known as the normal lines. This always form perpendicular to the reflecting surface. Okay, and there is also an angles of incidence and reflection which are always equal. So why we are learning about this reflection? These are the laws of reflection which are needed to be understood so that we can make the ray diagrams, because we need to know the ray diagrams. And these ray diagrams will suggest us or will make us understand where is the object is placed and where this image is forming. Okay, how does the incident ray of light is coming and how does the reflecting light is reflected back. Okay, so these laws of reflection are important, which states that incident ray, reflected ray and the normal to the mirror at the point of incidence all lies in the same plane, this normal line. Okay, this is also known as principal axis, the this reflecting surface. So all these incident ray, normal and reflected ray always lies on the same plane. Okay, and then the next law states that angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. And also sometimes it also states that the normal is always perpendicular to the reflecting surface. So these are the three basic laws of reflection. Okay. All right. So you can see this is one of the questions which you might see in your questionnaire, is that there is a diagram which shows a light ray hitting a plane mirror. What would be the angles of incidence and reflection? So we already know that, okay, so this is the incident ray, this is going to be our incident ray. This orange line is our incident ray. All right. But we also know that there is the normal ray which is also coming, right, on this principal axis, which is always perpendicular. Now to this normal ray, the incident ray, there would be a reflected ray. All right. So this is your reflected ray. So now this angle here, you can see between the incident ray and the normal is going to be angle of incidence. And between the normal and the reflection, there will be angle of reflected ray or angle of reflection. Okay. So now what do you think? The angle of incidence is 30 degree? No. See, 90 minus 30, it is going to be 60 degree here, because it's 90 minus 30, the incident ray 1. And then now you can say that angle of incidence is when 60 degree, then angle of reflection is also going to be 60 degree. Mirrors, we are going to see certain images. Okay, how does the reflecting surface or the plane mirror will form the image. All right, so this is the polished surface and this is a reflecting surface and this is a plane mirror. Okay. Okay, so this is the object and this green line is the incident ray. Okay, so light is being hitting on the object and there is an incident ray and this is a reflected ray. Okay, and then you can see we have doubled it up. Okay, so these two incident rays are there and there's a two reflected rays. Why we need two lines? At least two lines we need, because we need to have a focus point which will help us to see the image. Okay, so if here is the answer, when we extend both reflected and incident rays, we need to use dashed lines since these are not real rays. So these are the dotted lines, we are imaginary, these are imaginary. Okay, so here the image will form. Okay, here will be the image, this is the object and image will form here. Okay, so this is how we are going to form different ray diagrams. Okay, so we need to know the focus point also. We need to know where the object is being placed. We need to know where we are going to extend the reflected and incident rays as well. Okay, so here you can see there is an object, there is a normal and incidence and angle of reflection. Now see, here is the image formed. Okay, as I told you. So now the question comes, what are the characteristics of the image formed by the plane mirror? This is important. Okay, so image formed by the plane mirror, it is going to be upright. Upright means at the same position or in the same way up as the object is. You can see, okay, heighted. Then the same size. Upright also means the same size, same distance, okay, the same size of the object. Laterally inverted, it is the most important characteristic of the image formed by the plane mirror. So left side of the mirror will be seen inside the mirror as the right side, and right side of the object will be seen as the left side, vice versa. Okay, so opposite, lateral inverted, ulta. Same distance behind the mirror as the object is present in front. Okay, so for lateral inversion we have different examples. As you can see here, there's a monkey who is seeing his face on the plane mirror, and there's a boy. So always remember, there is a lateral inversion, means the right hand side of the face will be shown as the right hand side in the mirror, and right hand side will shown as the left hand side. Okay, so inverted, always remember. And that is why there is a question that sometimes you have seen the ambulance van. You can see the letters, how these letters are being written. Okay, why these letters are written like this? This is because of the left right inversion of the image on a mirror. The word ambulance written as left right inverted would therefore be read easily by the driver of the vehicle ahead of the ambulance in its rear view mirror. So now there is one more question. As you can see, an eye observes object P. So what do you think the image will form where, or which option is correct? Okay, so A, the dotted lines are not being matched or are not coming together, right? They are not intersecting. So this option is incorrect. So here you can see this dotted lines are being made, are being intersecting, coming together. So yes, P dash image will form here. So this is the correct option. And then this C, this is also wrong option because dotted lines are not being intersected again. So option B is the correct one. The reflected rays and their extensions are accurately drawn. The angle of reflection and incidence are more or less equal. Moreover, the extended reflected rays. So this is the point. This is the answer where image is going to be formed. So let's quickly revise what we have learned in this part 1. First, we have learned about the light, definition of light, sources of light. Then we understood about the ray model of light, where we have understood that there is a reflection in which the light travels in the plane mirror, reflect back, and we have understood 3 laws of reflection, that angle of incidence, reflection, incident all lies on the same plane, normal forms perpendicular to the that normal face or the principal axis. And then we have learned about different ray diagrams through which we have learned about the images formed by the plane mirror, and also we have learned different characteristics of the images formed by the plane mirror. So we have learned that the image's characteristic is laterally inverted, it is of the same size, upright, and at the same distance from the object. So this is all we have learned in this part 1 section. In the next section, we are going to learn about different other things, about the lenses, about the rainbow. All this we are going to cover in the part 2 section. So stay tuned. Till then, keep on learning and keep on revising.